Mayor de Blasio is giving an update on the coronavirus pandemic in New York City. Let's go to it now.
I'm going to make this something that works for every New Yorker, everywhere, every neighborhood. Easy, fast, free, all the things that New Yorkers care about. Making sure they can get in and out fast. Of course, knowing it's there for everyone for free. We've seen amazing things happen. By far the biggest vaccination effort in the entire history of New York City. It keeps growing every day, and the numbers are impressive, and we keep using new approaches. And this weekend, the weekend of faith, a key example, let's bring all the houses of worship into this effort. Trusted community voices connecting with their congregants, saying, here's vaccination for you, here's a way to make it work that's easy, here's a way to do the right thing for yourself, your family, your community. The houses of worship did an amazing job. This weekend, 2,000 vaccinations at the houses of worship as part of our referral program. 2,000 more people got vaccinated. That means every single one of those folks were able to get a bonus themselves, the $100 incentive, but it also means that every house of worship got $100 for each person that they convinced to come in and get vaccinated. This is a powerful approach, and it's going to grow. And the referral bonus approach, I want to be clear, the beauty of it is the individual is rewarded for coming forward, but whatever the organization is, a house of worship, a community group, a business, they get a boost too, and a thanks from the city for doing the right thing and helping to get people vaccinated. A lot of great examples around the city. A nonprofit organization, houses of worship, businesses, small businesses, community businesses, restaurants that are already participating in the referral bonus program. One great example, East Flatbush Village, an amazing community group, does great work. They have really focused on getting the community vaccinated in a place where we need extra help reaching people. And they've already referred to over 450 people in the East Flatbush area to get vaccinated. 450 more people who are going to be safe, helping to move the city forward, but also thousands of dollars in referral bonus support for East Flatbush Village. Everyone wins in this equation. East Flatbush Village does after-school tutoring for kids. They do really important anti-violence work in the community. They do youth sports. Great work to make the community better, leading the way on vaccination as well. I want you to hear from the executive director of East Flatbush Village, who's done so much to help the community. My pleasure to introduce Eric Waterman.
Thank you, Mayor de Blasio. Greatly appreciate it, and thank you for having us on today for your press conference. So I just want to say, again, thank you for this initiative. It's been a great opportunity for us as a community stakeholder to be able to get access to our community in a way that continues to bolster the idea of being a community stakeholder and being a trusted voice in the community. I think that is what also speaks to this particular initiative. Not everybody could come into anybody's community and just say, hey, I want to provide information, vaccine information. The numbers that you stated in terms of our vaccination success has come solely on the fact that we have been doing work in all those other areas that you spoke of, whether it be in schools and after school, our anti-violence initiative, our sports and cultural enrichment programs allowed us to be in spaces where people trust that when we say this is an opportunity for you to, of course, be safe, make sure your families are safe, and also get access to something that maybe not be as accessible to you, that we can get you access and we can get you that opportunity. So we were wonderfully glad to be a participant in this, and we're greatly appreciative of the trust of the city, but also the community and the constituents across the board throughout the city.
Eric, thank you so much. I really want to thank you. You've given a great example of what a community group can do. I mean, one community group bringing in well over 400 folks. I'm so happy that's benefiting the good work you do in general, but I'm particularly happy that we got over 400 more New Yorkers who are vaccinated. And then that means more people will hear the story that it worked, that it was easy. There's going to be a huge multiplier effect here. So I really want to thank you for what you're doing for the East Flatbush community and for giving a great example to everyone that so many community organizations and other organizations can be a part of this and make a huge impact. Thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Now, again, I mentioned it's not just community-based organizations or houses of worship. We welcome small businesses. We welcome barbershops and beauty salons. We welcome restaurants. We welcome bodegas. Anyone who wants to be a part of this, encouraging community members to come in and get vaccinated. We want those small businesses to benefit. We want to make sure that the individuals from the community come in and get vaccinated. First and foremost, we want them to benefit from it, but we want the small businesses to benefit as well. Here's an example. A restaurant in Harlem, Safari, great restaurant, serves up wonderful Somali food. And they recognize, after everything they've been through, the restaurant's hit hard like so many others by the pandemic. They recognized that they could not only bring the restaurant back, but do something great for the community. In a second, you're going to hear from Shakib Faras, who, with his wife Mona, are doing great work educating the community about the power of vaccination. So here's a community-based business. Customers love it, community loves it. And here's another place where people are hearing how important it is to get vaccinated, and an opportunity for the restaurant to benefit from the referral bonus program. Everybody wins in this scenario. I want you to hear this great example from the wonderful Safari restaurant in Harlem. Shakib Farah, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to share our experience with this program of vaccine. To tell you a little story, Safari is the only Somali restaurant based in New York City, and we're very glad to take part of the referral program to provide our staff and patrons to have a convenience way to find a vaccination. The vaccine referral program helped us send our loved community members to get vaccinated so they can be safe and save their lives and help all our New Yorkers get back to business and beat the pandemic together. We also encourage our other restaurant owners to participate in this program so they can too and bring it to life and save the lives of the people and vaccine our community. And the revenue of $100, it's really a kind of a way to help our own and the expenses. So whenever we refer, it's a win-win. We refer our community members and our clients to get healthy, but also $100 net back just to get it at the end of the day. So this is still working, and we appreciate the services that the vaccine program is rolling out in New York City.
Thank you so much, Shakib. And I want to tell you, first of all, give you credit for wearing the T-shirt. You got to always promote a small business, a local restaurant, so I'm glad you're getting the name out there. I've heard great things about the restaurant. I look forward to visiting. But I really want to thank you for giving people a great example of how every community business can help to keep people safe. And I wish you great success going forward.
Thank you.
All right, now, the referral bonus, great opportunity for our restaurants as part of how we bring them back. But the most important thing for restaurants, for all of us, is to make this city healthy, make this city safe, make sure we defeat COVID once and for all. I've been talking a lot lately about the fact that we need to get our focus on ending the COVID era once and for all. We can do that. We can do that if enough of us get vaccinated. And we can, therefore, avoid ever having to go back to restrictions. Remember when all those restaurants got closed, those businesses got closed? Remember the devastating impact? We can never let that happen again. We first and foremost have to protect people because of their health and well-being. We have to save lives, but we also can't see our businesses destroyed because we didn't do everything in our power to fight COVID. So that's why the mandates we put in place are so important. And a Key to NYC is here. It's being implemented all over the city. Customers know they'll be safe when they're in a restaurant or any indoor entertainment. The folks who work there know they're safe as well. It's not easy. There's real work to be done. That's why we spent weeks on outreach and education, and that's why enforcement doesn't begin until September 13th. But we want to make it as clear as possible. We want to answer questions. We want to work with restaurant owners and other business owners to get it right. One of the things we heard from restaurant owners is they wanted a simple, message that they could put up at the entrance to a restaurant so everyone understands the rules. And they understand it's a city rule. It's not something made up by each restaurant. It's universal now. This is the poster we're going to have available and in multiple languages for restaurants in a variety of communities. To make clear, this is something everyone has to do for the well-being of all of us, to keep us moving forward, to defeat COVID once and for all. Now, I want everyone to know we make clear on this poster, by the way, let's say someone goes to a restaurant and they didn't know about the rule, but they really want to go to the restaurant and they're ready to get vaccinated. We've done a lot of research. We know the vast majority of unvaccinated people are actually willing to get vaccinated. They just haven't done it yet. You really want to go to that restaurant? You really want to go to that concert, whatever it may be? Here, there's a way you can access the information, the nearest vaccination site. You can literally go to that vaccination site, get your first shot, get your card, come right back, go to that restaurant, go to that movie theater, go to that concert. That's how flexible this rule is. We just want people to get going on vaccination. We know people get the first shot, end up getting the second shot as well. So the information is there, and anybody who wants these posters or wants to get them in other languages, and we'll be reaching out to small businesses, but also small businesses, of course, can go to nyc.gov/KeyToNYC, as can all New Yorkers, to get the facts about this new approach. Remember, it's for indoor dining, indoor entertainment, it's for indoor fitness, and we, in the guides we're providing, the information we're providing today, are showing the best practices. We're showing how to go about, if you're a business or a gym, whatever it is, the best way to simply check a vaccination card. Now, remember, restaurants and bars have plenty of experience checking IDs. You check in when you go to a fitness center or gym. There's lots of history here that we can draw on, but we're showing real templates. So it's clear how a business can manage this and make it work, and also how to know when there's a fake vaccination card and what to do about it. And by the way, when there's a fake vaccination card, that means someone has committed a very serious crime. Literally, that could lead to prison time for anyone who fraudulently creates a fake vaccination card. That is a major offense. So we make that clear to business owners and what to do about it. I want you to hear about this new guide and what it's going to mean, helping New York City businesses to protect their customers, their employers, and the entire city, and move us all forward. Someone who's been fighting all the way through COVID to help small business, our Small Business Services Commissioner, John L. Doris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Everywhere I go around the city visiting small businesses, our restaurants, our mom and pop shops, you can just feel the city coming alive again this summer. You can see our small businesses coming back. We want that to continue. We need that to continue. And the way to make sure this continues is by safely getting people vaccinated through the Key to NYC program. The first day the Key to NYC launched, I visited Ricardo Steakhouse in East Harlem, one of the 11,800 plus restaurants in our open restaurants program. The atmosphere was full of life and energy, and most importantly, customers. They have already had the flyer up. They already began the process in asking customers if they are vaccinated or not. And they said something to me, I think, that was so important. The manager said to me that this took away the ambiguity of what it is and who's coming in and what to do, and the need to make their customers and their workers understand the processes that we're implementing. They said that it was consistent. They said that it was clear, and everybody understood what was expected. And that is what we've done here at SBS, which is walk in the corridors, speaking to small businesses, East Harlem, Coney Island, all around the city, to hear from them about what we need to do to make sure they fully understand and grasp what is being implemented here. The Key to NYC is protecting our workers, our customers, and also our small businesses across the city. Our job here at SBS is to keep training them and educating them to make sure that whatever is needed is possible, and that we give them the resources to do it. Already we've hosted various online trainings. We have 600 plus canvassers out in the field speaking to small businesses now. And I thank our BIDs, our business improvement districts, our chambers, our small business council, all of who are doing this significant outreach and support this mandate that is out there now. And today, we're putting our brand new industry-specific guidance that will further help business owners with the mandate. If you are a restaurant, you'll be able to look and see exactly what you need to do. If you're a gym, you'll have specific help on how to put your plan in action. If you're a movie theater, you'll find out on how to keep the line moving, or any business for that matter. We have specific guidance for you. There are free weekly online trainings as well every Wednesday, and trainings also come in Mandarin and in Spanish. And to help you create your business implementation plan, we've created a template that you can quickly and easily fill in. How to put your plan into action, know what to check, how to keep things moving quickly when verifying vaccination cards, all of that and more. Go to nyc.gov, key to NYC, to find out all the information you need there. These resources will be available in 13 languages. To our small business owners, we are with you every step of the way, provided the necessary resources and education, incentives for vaccine referrals. We will make this easy as possible. If you have any questions, as we've done throughout the pandemic, our team is here to help you with a personal one-on-one support. Just give us a call at 888-SBS-4NYC, 888-SBS-4NYC. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. I love when you remember to give that phone number. Thank you very much. So, everyone, throughout the pandemic, we've been focusing on the needs of all New Yorkers, but we all as New Yorkers, we love our restaurants. We love all the parts of this city that make us so special. You know, the restaurants in New York City are part of our personality, part of our heart and soul, part of our energy, part of why people come here from all around the world, but also our restaurants represent all of us. They represent all of our cultures. They represent the dreams of people who thought, maybe I could create something great, and then they do it. So from the very beginning, I've been listening to the voices of restaurant owners as they've talked about what they need to survive, and we've tried every step of the way, starting with outdoor dining and so many other steps, to help them through, and thank God so many have made it. One of the people who's been there with us every step of the way, literally every step of the way, and he has offered ideas, critiques. If he likes something, he says it. If he doesn't like something, he says it. He's been a great advocate for his industry, but he's been someone who's worked with us to always find the next step that we could take to keep people safe and protect the employees and the patrons of the restaurant industry and everyone who loves it. He's been with us every step of the way, and I want to say thank you for that. The Executive Director of the New York City Hospitality Alliance, Andrew Ridgie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Commissioner. You know, our city's restaurant industry is just amazing. I mean, we saw the owners of Safari Restaurant, I think up on 116th Street. That is what our city is about. And this pandemic has been so challenging for our small businesses, particularly our local restaurants and our bars. And, you know, we felt like we were on this great path to recovery. And then sure enough, Delta hit. And what the mayor said is correct. We cannot go back to the restrictions that we saw throughout the pandemic. If you remember, going indoors, having to have your temperature taken, having to do contact tracing information. You couldn't stand at a bar. The list goes on and on and on. And throughout the pandemic, you know, we had to make a lot of tough decisions. But today we have the vaccine. We have the tool to get us through the pandemic. And if we want to help New York City recover, we need to help our city's restaurants recover. And when we first heard about a vaccine requirement for indoor dining, as you can imagine, an organization that represents restaurants has to reach out to restaurants throughout the 5 boroughs and get your feedback. And you know, if you know restaurant people have a lot of opinions, just like all New Yorkers. And there's a lot of people that support this requirement. There's a lot that have concerns. There's other people that just say, you know, I understand we need to get New Yorkers vaccinated if we want to get to the other side about this. But what is going to be the impact on our business? So we need to recognize that these requirements do have an impact on people's businesses. I've heard from some where their customers say, you know what, I'm finally more comfortable to go eat indoors now because of this vaccine requirement. We've heard from others that may be losing business. But at the end of the day, we cannot go backwards. If we don't do anything, we know what's going to happen. There was some recent survey data that was national, but I think it really hits home here in New York. Because of Delta, 19% of adults have stopped going out to restaurants. 9% have canceled reservations. 37% have ordered takeout or delivery instead of going out to a restaurant, and 19% are choosing to sit outside instead of inside. So we know that if we don't get more people vaccinated, if we do not work hard as a restaurant community, as a New York community, to get people vaccinated, this pandemic is going to continue to impact our industry. You know, sometimes we think about the short game, and I understand when you're a restaurant owner, it's day in, day out. This is a penny's business. You've gone through an extraordinary amount throughout the past 18 months, and now having to deal with these requirements will make it tough. But we need to do it together. We were just up at Melba's restaurant in Harlem last week, getting people vaccinated. And we get it. There's some real hesitancy out there. A young woman was so nervous. She called her mom, should I get vaccinated? And then we walked in, people held her hands, she got vaccinated. More and more restaurant workers that were hesitant are getting vaccinated. We need to keep our restaurant workers safe. Vaccination is the way to do it. We need to provide an environment for our customers to be safe, and we need to do everything to ensure that we don't go back to the earlier days of the pandemic. So that's why our industry always says we need a seat at the table, and we have a seat at the table with the mayor, with the commissioner, making sure our industry's voice is heard and working with them to come up with clear guidelines so businesses can follow them. And remember, regardless of what your opinion is about the requirement, there's the respect song, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. We need to respect restaurant workers. They're trying to make a living. We need to support our local restaurants. So please, go out, get vaccinated, participate in these programs. If we want New York City to recover, we need our city's restaurants to recover, and vaccination is the way to do it. We have definitely tough days ahead of us, but we also have a really bright future, and we need to work together to get that done. So I want to thank you. We'll continue to be the voice, be supportive, critique, but make sure that you know that we have a partner in the restaurant industry so we can get through this together.
Amen. And you're at the table right now. I just want to say we need
I
a
love
seat at the
that.
table. You're at the
See
table.
that?
See, it worked. Andrew, thank you. You've been a stalwart. And to you and your colleagues, everyone who's been with us, we appreciate it as we work this through. And look at these guides. I just want to make sure everyone sees this is the kind of thing you'll see online for indoor dining, for indoor entertainment, for fitness facilities, specific detailed plans on how people can make this work effectively and where to go for more information. And that's crucial. We obviously want to put forward proactively the information that business owners need. We want to make it as easy as possible, but we know there's going to be a lot of questions. So we welcome those calls from business owners to work it through. And the team at SBS is ready, willing, and able, including going out to businesses and working with them on the scene to show them the best way to approach this new effort for the good of all. Now, I want to hear from a city council member who has been a strong advocate for small business and a strong advocate for ending the COVID era. And he has supported the key to the New York City approach and the understanding that we need the right kind of mandates to make sure we never slip backwards. He's worked with small businesses in the community to make sure this plan comes to fruition for the good of all, and he really understands what it's going to mean when we get this right for the future of New York City. My pleasure to introduce from Manhattan, Councilmember Keith Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I always appreciate hearing Andrew Ridgey do his Aretha Franklin impression. So nice to see you all.
Never before seen, Councilmember.
I recorded it, so for the archives. But thank you for having me here today. Nice to see all of you. I feel like for the last few months, it's been a dozen times I've been with you, Mr. Mayor, on here or in Times Square and other parts of my district talking about the need to help rescue our tourism and hospitality industry and to deliver much needed support for Broadway and our performance arts spaces and just other ways to bring back New York City. And we know, and you know, because you've been talking about this so much, that there is a way to do that. And that is to get vaccinated, to keep yourself safe, and to keep your fellow New Yorkers safe. As we talk about bringing back New York City and the comeback, it really requires us to be able to safely congregate again. And the only way to do that is to have vaccinations be a large part of the equation. That means helping people get the vaccination easily, but also making sure that we are requiring it for any spaces where there's going to be people congregating together. I represent Broadway. I represent so many parts of the tourism industry here in New York City, and I always say there's really nothing like seeing your favorite Broadway show for the first time or seeing your favorite band play. But we are unable to do that if the risk for COVID continues to be high and the numbers are where they are. So we do need to have some way to make sure that we can push folks to be able to get vaccinated and make sure that we are doing our part to keep everyone safe. And I have to say, I've been, in talking about the restaurant industry, I've been really encouraged what I've seen so far. I've been to countless restaurants that have asked for vaccination. Every restaurant I've walked into has asked for vaccination and ID before entering. I got to go see the Killers last week, right before the homecoming concert, and the venue had all the protocols set up to make sure that people were vaccinated, they were checking. And for many events that I'm seeing coming up, vaccination is a prerequisite. So I think it's working. I think New Yorkers, for the most, are encouraged and feel safe in environments where they are getting asked ahead of time for their vaccination. Makes us all feel safer, making sure that we can go out and support all those industries like our restaurant industry that have been hit so hard during the pandemic. So I want to say I really continue to think this is a strategy for us to come out of the pandemic and enter the holiday season and enter a big part of New York City's tourism season in a safe way. And of course, I want to encourage New Yorkers all to get back to Broadway or attend the US Open or go to your favorite restaurant or go to a concert. And the only way you can do that right now safely is to get vaccinated. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, of course, Andrew Ridgie and everyone who's pushing so hard to make sure that we are doing our reopening in a very safe way. And of course, encourage every New Yorker to go get vaccinated.
Thank you so much, Councilmember. Councilmember, I just have one thing that always puzzles me, and I bet Andrew Ridgie's with me on this. You know, you've been on this press conference many times, and every time you have a number of vignettes, not just one, a number of vignettes of restaurants you've been to, and yet you never seem to gain weight. I want to know what that's about. I mean, you seem to eat out a lot.
I do eat out a lot. It's the life of a busy council member. I'm not sure. Genetics is a fantastic thing, I suppose.
I think it's all the dancing.
Yeah. It's the Keith Powers diet plan. You heard it here first.
I like it.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Thank you.
All right, so now, listen, we've talked about small businesses, we've talked about restaurants, what's crucial to our recovery, saving our businesses, saving jobs, bringing back the life of this city. And we know that's going to be a crucial part of our economic recovery, but we also know our recovery is deeper than that. And we have to keep focusing not only on people's health fighting COVID, but on public safety as well. All of these pieces go together in a recovery for all of us. So yesterday we talked about a profound problem, the fact that our court system is not fully functioning. And I want to say it again, really clearly, specifically, not fully functioning when so many other parts of our society are fully functioning. Again, from the first 6 months of this year, when you compare 2019, the first 6 months of 2019, 405 trial verdicts in New York City. The first 6 months of 2021, only 18 in New York City. There should not be excuses for that. You know, I would like to hear from the folks who run the courts, not their excuses or pointing fingers elsewhere, but just say what they're going to do to fix it right now. We all, in every part, you're hearing private sector, the restaurants open, making it work. We're bringing back schools, city offices, you name it. There's so many places where people are back, but our court system is just not functioning. And it's moving at a snail's pace compared to the rest of the state. So for that same 6-month period, here's another comparison. In all the rest of New York State, 40 trials per month on average. In New York City courts, only 7 trials per month. It makes no sense considering that so much of the activity is obviously should be here in the courts in New York City. So much that has to be addressed should be happening here in New York City, but it's not. So how do you stop crime if criminals think there will be no consequences? If criminals know there's not going to be trials, it's not helpful in the least. And just you'll hear later on this week from our NYPD commissioner what he's seeing in this situation. But I don't even think you need an expert to see the common sense of this, that if there's no trials, there's no consequences. That doesn't help us stop crime. That's the whole reason we have a criminal justice system to begin with. And there's supposed to be speedy justice that goes back to the founding of the Republic. And instead, we see snail's pace justice, and it's hurting our efforts to keep the city safe. I want you to hear from a truly respected national expert. You know, in the last 8 years, I've been working on the issues of public safety with incredible professionals at the NYPD and mayors around the country, and there's one name I hear over and over, and it's real interesting. I hope he appreciates this fact that when folks want to talk about one of the ultimate wise men, one of the people who really understands public safety and how to bring police and community together in common cause, they talk about Chuck Wexler. I've heard his name dozens and dozens and dozens of times all around the country. And he understands there is an interconnectedness here. What happens at the community level, what happens with policing, what happens with courts, it all needs to move together. And if one piece of the equation is not working, everything else is affected. I want you to hear from him directly about why it's so important to get our court system up and running 100% so all crimes are addressed. He is the executive director of the Police Executive Research Forum, one of the most trusted voices related to public safety in the United States of America. My pleasure to introduce Chuck Wexler.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the kind words, and thank you for your leadership on all fronts. New York City's coming back strong, listening to you talk about restaurants and jobs, and public safety is a big part of that, Mayor, so thank you for your leadership. You know, since beginning in 2020, we have seen crime dramatically increase. And, you know, criminologists will debate why crime has gone up. And I think that's not what we're trying to do here today. We know that the pandemic has had a significant impact. But, you know, the good news is, I think we're starting to see changes. I mean, if you look at New York, talk to Dermot Shea, your commissioner there, he will tell you that gun arrests are up. They've been up, you know, now significantly. So, you know, and prosecutors are starting to get back in the game. But a big major component, like you said, Mayor, is the courts. And I don't think we've seen a period like we're in now in the last 2 years. Because just like you said, Mayor, how do you operate the criminal justice system without the courts? The courts are the very central part of the criminal justice system. That's where the body of information, that's where we have juries, that's where we have citizens, that's where we have prosecutors, defense attorneys. But what happens when that system shuts down? Look at this. In 2018, you had 229 criminal cases. In 2020, you had 20. And in 2021, you had one trial in the city of New York. I mean, that's just astonishing. In non-jury trials, in 2019, you had 115. In 2020, you had 20. And in 2021, you had 0. And so we've seen a 97% decrease since 2019. So you have a system here where it has basically come to a screeching halt, and it's still at a screeching halt. But as you said, Mayor, if you compare it to upper state New York, the state courts seem to be recovering faster. They're having more than 6 times the rate of New York City. It just doesn't make any sense. I get it. The pandemic has affected all of us. But here's what's happening. You look at, usually, if you didn't have, say, the courts, maybe you'd have plea bargainings, but in 2019, there were 8,860 plea bargains compared to 3,002 in 2021. So there's no incentive to plea bargain because there's no concern about going to trial. Right now, in New York City, you have 4,000 open gun cases where suspects are on the street while waiting trial for more than a year. What we know about crime is this. We know a small percentage of individuals are responsible for a disproportionate number of crime. No trials for a year, no plea bargaining going down. what's happening to those people who are in the system? And you know what? The tragedy is that's why your shootings and your murders are up. Those are the two crimes out of all of the index crimes that are going on. Right now, you know, Jerome Skolnick wrote a book, Justice Without Trial. Right now, we have no justice with no trial. And that is the sad thing. The NYPD can continue making a lot of arrests, but as good as that may be, that's going to fall short without the court system. There has to be some accountability. Look, America's getting back on its feet. Restaurants are opening up. Police departments are working. Prosecutors are coming back. We really have to say this one area, the central part of the criminal justice system, the courts, how do we get them back and running? This isn't about blaming anyone. We're all fearful. We get vaccinated. We wear masks. We come to work. That's what needs to happen. Doing something about the courts will do something about crime. We're all in this together. So I don't want people to look at what we're pointing at the courts. We're just saying to the courts, we need your help. Help New York City be a safer place. Mayor, thank you for your leadership.
Thank you so much, Chuck. And beautifully, beautifully explained. And look, I agree with you. This is about everyone chipping in. And it can be done. But it's not going to work without the court system. And I think you just put it in powerful perspective. This is a crisis in plain sight. And we've got to be clear about it. Right now, there should be a lot of energy focused from elected officials, from the media, from everyone to say, how do we fix this? We all need to fix it together. But there's no way we get back to the levels of safety that we need if we don't have a functioning court system. It just stands to reason. Chuck, thank you. And I agree with your optimism. We are going to get there. There's no question. We've proven before, and you've been a big part of it around the country. We can come up with better and better ways to keep people safe. So thank you. Thank you for the great work you're doing.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, everyone, let's go to our indicators today. And again, we start with the doses administered to date. And I got to tell you, I'm seeing great things out there. We talked about Weekend of Faith, the referral bonus program. The mandates are having an impact. Incentives are having an impact. From day one, 10,678,226 doses and growing all the time. Number two, daily number of people admitted to New York City hospitals for suspected COVID-19. Today's report, 126 patients. Confirmed positivity level, 16.91%. And a hospitalization rate of 1.31 per 100,000. And number three, new reported cases on a 7-day average, 1,677. A few words in Spanish, and I want to go back to making sure that our restaurants come back, that the employees are safe, the customers are safe, everyone together works with the key to NYC. Los números nos están diciendo todo lo que necesitamos saber. Las vacunas salvan vidas. El nuevo póster que estamos sacando hoy va a ayudar a los restaurantes a pasar la voz. La llave para la ciudad de Nueva York está aquí y la ciudad está lista. With that, let's turn to our colleagues in the media, and please let me know the name and outlet of each journalist.
We'll now begin our Q&A. As a reminder, we're joined today by Commissioner Doris, by DCAS Commissioner Lizette Camilo, by Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice Director Marcos Soler, by Dr. Dave Choksi from Health Department, and by Dr. Mitchell Katz. The first question today goes to Juliet from 1010 Wins.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Hey, Juliet, how you been?
Okay, thank you. So given that you're looking at these protocols and you're going to use these protocols for business, I was wondering, would you do something similar for city employees as they return to work this September?
Juliet, I want to make sure I understand your question, so I want you to restate. I mean, obviously, we have a wide variety of health and safety protocols in place for city employees, so I want to make sure I understand what you're asking.
Yeah, I was wondering if these were going to be sort of mandated protocols for people when they come back to work, and in city jobs? Will there be protocols to look at or check for vaccination, check for masks, or testing?
Yeah, the different pieces there, Juliet. Right now, as you know, we have for healthcare workers a state vaccination mandate. For Department of Education employees, we have a city mandate. First, on the 13th, it's vaccination or test, but then on the 27th, it goes to vaccination only. We're going to also on the 13th implement for all city workers the vaccination or test standard. In addition, of course, depending on the work site, but indoors, schools, hospitals, masks all the time in places where people are coming in contact with the public, indoors, masks, variety of protocols, cleaning, you name it. But that's something we're doing across all city agencies, of course. Go ahead, Juliet.
Okay, thank you. Also, what are plans, given, there are terrorist attacks in Afghanistan, what preparations are being made to protect the city in the event that there is any indication of any sort of upgraded, alert here? And given that the anniversary of 9/11 is approaching?
We take that very, very seriously, Juliet. Right now, first of all, to emphasize, despite the very painful things happening in Afghanistan, there are no specific and credible threats against New York City right now. And that's crucial. We're watching all the time. But of course, we're hyper aware that the 20th anniversary of that horrible day, 9/11, is coming soon. And NYPD has been preparing intensely. And we're working with all of our partners in the Joint Terrorism Task Force. We'll have more to say on that as we get a little bit closer, but rest assured that very intensive preparations are being made. But most importantly, no specific and credible threats directed at New York City at this moment.
The next is Dana from the New York Times.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Quick question. Why, is the city giving any consideration to requiring child care workers who work with kids under 2 to get vaccinated?
Yeah, we are looking at a wide variety of employees of different types, different parts of the city workforce in general, meaning private and public. We've been moving the mandates so far that we thought were absolutely essential, but we continue to look at that. And as I said, we've been climbing the ladder, so we're looking and we'll have more to say soon. Go ahead, Dana.
Thanks. Yeah, I ask for, I guess, the obvious reason, which is that children under 2 can't wear masks. Is there a reason why public school teachers are being required but not daycare workers?
Well, again, very different settings, obviously, and very different size settings. A lot of daycare settings are much smaller. But again, I will just say it this way, and I'll turn to Dr. Choksi because his agency has a lot to do with regulating child care facilities. We, again, are looking systematically, sector by sector. We take it seriously. Of course, we need everyone to be safe, and we want to figure out the right approach for each one. Dr. Choksi, you want to add?
Thank you, sir. That's exactly right. We are looking at this systematically. We're particularly looking at settings where we want to protect people, particularly younger people who are not eligible to get vaccinated yet. That's why, as the mayor said, we've started with schools, but we do have a range of other settings where additional requirements may come into play in the future. Thank you.
The next is Michael Garland from the Daily News.
Good morning.
Hey, Michael, how you been?
Good. How you doing?
Hanging in, brother.
I see you taking a page. I see you taking a page out of Jimmy Otto's handbook with your poster today.
Yeah, but look, Michael, hold on. My poster is very clean, neat. You can read it. Jimmy's poster was the scribblings of a mad genius, okay? I didn't know. I was looking at that thing for a while. I was like, what is he trying to tell us here? Continue.
I've got a couple of questions. You talked about vaccine incentives, both for individuals and restaurants, houses of worship. as I'm sure you're probably aware, we had a story that ran Saturday about the Reverend Kevin McCall basically putting out there that he's giving vaccination exemptions as an enticement for people outside of his church, and as well as, exemptions to people in his congregation. And I was wondering, how prevalent is this? Is the city witnessing a lot of this sort of thing? And, what should you do? What should the city be doing to push back on this? What are you doing to push back on it?